Welcome to Just Minding My Business Media, where you get information that you can use. I'm your host, Ida Crawford. But before we dive in, subscribe to Just Minding My Business on our YouTube channel and wherever you get your podcast. Share Just Minding My Business with your family, friends, and colleagues. Engage with us by leaving a review or comment. Your support keeps this podcast going and growing. Visit our website at jmmbmediallc.com to learn how we can support you in getting more visibility on your products and services. So grab a pen and paper and get ready for information that you can use. Wow, I am so excited to bring Garrett and Ted. Which one is Garrett? Okay, that's Ted and you're Garrett. Okay.
I'm Garrett. Yep.
All righty. So Garrett has sold more than 1 million books to guide entrepreneurs and investors. His bestseller include Start Your Own Corporation, Loopholes for Real Estate, and Fail Not Fail. I like that title. For more than 30 years, he has run his practice assisting entrepreneurs and real estate investors in protecting their assets. The company he founded, Corporate Direct and Sutton Law Center, currently help more than 14,000 clients protect their assets and maintain their entities, especially under the new Corporate Transparency Act. Garrett has also served as a member of the elite group of Rich Dad Advisors for best-selling author Robert Kiyosaki. A number of the books Garrett Sutton has authored are part of the best-selling Rich Dad, Poor Dad Wealth Building book series. Garrett is also the president of Sunstream, a new streaming platform focused on kids' financial education and adult professional development. Wow, that's awesome. And Ted Sutton is a licensed attorney who is the son of Garrett Sutton. I love that. Ted was born and raised in Reno, Nevada. He graduated from the University of Utah with a BS in mining engineering. During one of his summers, he spent 3 months working at a mine in Chile. This experience made him realize that legal matters interested him more than engineering ones. After graduating in 2018, he decided to attend law school the following year. Ted attended the University of Wyoming College of Law. In his third year, he served as the student director of the Business Entrepreneurship Practicum, where he helped clients form and maintain LLCs. He graduated in May 2022. Ted is now licensed to practice law in Wyoming and Nevada. Ted has been focused on making sure corporate directs clients properly file under the Corporate Transparency Act. He is also the author of 5 Tricks to Teach Your Kids About Money. Wow, I love it. I love it when family work together.
It's been good, Ida. So thanks for having us.
Thank you. And I know that was a mouthful, but I had to say it all. All right. So let's get right into this Corporate Transparency Act that nobody is talking about and nobody really knows about.
Well, the law was passed in
2021.
Right.
Okay.
And it took effect January 1st of this year. And so people have known about it for 3 years, but again, no one's talking about it. The government hasn't sent out a notice saying that you need to file under this law. And in the law, the not knowing the law is no excuse. I mean, you're held to know what the law is, but we've been trying to educate our clients and others, like people listening to your show, Ida, about this new law, because not many people know about it. And as Ted will discuss, the penalties are pretty darn significant. You need to follow this law this year. So if you want, Ted has become our expert, and he can tell you what the law requires.
Yes, please, because I'm like, what is this? When I first saw it, it was like I forget the place where you have to file. I think it begins with a F. I read a little bit about it, but still, I didn't get it.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is you're not alone. I mean, there's a lot of people who've been left in the dark on this new law. So, FinCEN is the governing body that's handling all this. And, now that I think of it, this can kind of be like the new F word that we have to deal with. So, FinCEN. So yeah, they're a branch of the U.S. Department of the Treasury, and they handle things like money laundering, illegal activity, going after criminals. And so when the Corporate Transparency Act was passed, they tasked FinCEN with setting up a database where 30 million small business owners are going to have to report their information. And you have three pieces of information that you need to report. The first is the reporting company information. So this is, LLCs, corporations, limited partnerships, all the like. So you're going to need to report information about your company. The second thing is that you're going to need to report beneficial ownership information. And this relates to anyone who owns an interest in a company. If you own 25% or you hold any management authority, you would count as a beneficial owner, and you'd need to report your personal information in that situation. And then the third piece of information is company applicant information. And this is the person who sets up the company. So, we here at Corporate Direct, we help 13,000 clients across all 50 states. So we would be the company applicant in that situation. But, if you want to set up the LLC on your own, then you as an individual you would be the company applicant. You'd have to report information.
So Ida, there's one thing when Ted mentioned the personal information. The one thing they want is your driver's license or passport number, and they want a copy of it. So this database is going to have all sorts of sensitive information in it. Now, if you don't do the filing, the penalty is $10,000 in penalties and or 2 years in prison. So you can go to prison for willfully failing to file this information. So the penalties are pretty significant. And the database is going to have a lot of confidential information in it. And it's going to be, it's going to be a target-rich database. People are going to want to hack in there and get all this information. And we'll see how good the government is in protecting this.
And we know that is not good right there, because hackers are way smarter than the government.
Hackers never get caught.
No, they're like invisible people. Wow. Is there a fee to get into this database?
No. So the filings are completely free, which is good. The thing is we can do the filings for people, but if you want to do it on your own, you can. And another thing I should mention is that it is it's going to have a lot of confidential information, but it is not available to the public, which is good. So it's only going to be available to like financial institutions and law enforcement agencies. So hopefully it doesn't get hacked, but if people, regular people can't access the database on their own. And I think that's really important to tell people that, because I have gotten a lot of questions from people saying that, oh, well, people can just look up my confidential information in there. But they can't, which is good. But like Dad mentioned, we'll see how safe this database is. I mean, I really hope it doesn't get hacked, but I think over the last few years, we've kind of seen a pattern.
Oh yeah, I mean, hacking is like part of our world today.
So Ida, we will file for our clients. We charge a fee because there's a bit of work involved. You have to track down who all the beneficial owners are. It's not an easy process.
Okay.
The other thing to know is when you file once, and as long as the information stays the same, you don't have to amend it. But let's say you bring in a new shareholder who owns 25%, you've got to amend the filing with the government. The other thing is that I mentioned on the passports and the driver's licenses, though, that information has to be kept current. So if you go get a new driver's license, you'll have a new number, and then you have to amend your FinCEN filing with the new number for your driver's license. So there is an ongoing requirement to amend these. It doesn't have to be done every year, but when you make a change, you need to amend your FinCEN filing.
Okay, so what if you have an LLC that you are no longer active in? How does that work?
So if you don't, so you're saying the LLC is set up, it's registered with the Secretary of State, but you don't own an interest in it anymore?
Well, you still have it, but you're not really using it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of
Yeah.
people have LLCs and they end up getting another one and basically focusing their energy on that and not doing anything with the previous one.
Right.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Yeah. So in that situation, there are some exemptions to what constitutes a reporting company. The biggest one is the large operating company exemption. So that's where you have like $5 million in gross receipts, more than 20 employees, and a physical presence in the US. That's the most important one. But another exemption that people need to know about is called the inactive entity exemption.
Okay.
And this is where you have an entity, it's set up before 2020. You haven't put any money into it. You haven't taken money out. There hasn't been any change in ownership. And also no foreign national owns an interest in it.
Okay.
So it sounds like the LLC that you have, it may be able to meet the inactive entities exemption. And in that situation, you just wouldn't need to report your information to FinCEN.
The other strategy could be to just dissolve it.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
if you're not using it and you don't want to pay the annual filing fees, you may just want to dissolve it. You can always start a new one.
Right, exactly. Because I think, especially in the small business arena, you hear you need to get an LLC, you need to set up your entity, and people just do it. But now, and then they either get out of business, no longer do the business, and it just sort of sits there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we see that quite a bit, Ida. The other thing is you'll have people just say, oh, I have an LLC, you can use mine, and they take it over, but you need to make sure that your name is not listed as a beneficial owner with that LLC, or that they're going to make the filing, because you just don't. This is another layer of liability now for these LLCs.
Yeah.
And so you want to make sure that if you do let someone buy your LLC, that they're going to do the proper filings on it.
Okay. Wow. This is definitely right on time, guys. I'm like, and nobody is talking about this. And I am so surprised you don't hear it in the media. You haven't, I mean, that's why when I saw it, I was like, what is this? Because I hadn't heard about it. And the government is not really articulating it.
It's a unique law too, Ida, in that most regulations are geared towards big businesses, right? This one is geared towards the small businesses. The government feels that people are conducting money laundering and terrorist financing through these small entities. And so that's who they've targeted here, not the big businesses, but the small businesses. Wow. Of course, the Wall Street Journal, when they were writing about this in an editorial, said, are the bad guys really going to self-report? I mean, is all this effort going to catch the bad guys?
Right.
But we'll see. It's the law, and our job is to help our clients follow the law. And so that's why we're telling people about this, and we're providing a service to help them follow the law.
Yes. And on that note, if people need to work with you on this, how do they reach out to you?
Yeah, so you can find us at corporatedirect.com. The website has articles and other additional information on the Corporate Transparency Act. And on top of that, we have a YouTube channel. And so if you head on over to YouTube and type in Corporate Direct, you can find the channel there. I've done several videos on the Corporate Transparency Act and the little details regarding it. So, I've done a little section for each part of the law. And you also can find other matters that relate to corporate law on the YouTube channel too. So those are the two places you can find us.
All right.
And we offer a free 15-minute consultation with a paralegal. If you have questions, if you need help filing the FinCEN forms, we can get on the phone with you, tell you how we can help. Because again, we want people to follow the law. If you don't,
Yes.
$10,000 in penalties and 2 years in prison. It's a really steep penalty that they put on this.
Yes, indeed. And some small businesses, they're not making $10,000.
That's right. That's right.
They're getting, they're growing, they're getting their business up and running, and they are work in progress. So they don't have any $10,000 to give anybody
Right.
for not being in compliance with this particular law. Well, I am so glad we are talking about this because I didn't nothing about this at all until I accidentally, I'm just out surfing and I saw something from I think it was a New York Times and about it, and I was like, what in the world is this? So I posted it on my LinkedIn page, and I haven't even seen any of my financial people mention about this, okay, so they obviously don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a government requirement, and a lot of times you will, like you say, Ida, hear about a new law that affects 30 million people, right? But it's not a happy law. I don't think the Treasury Department is too happy about telling people that they have to file this information. It's not something that anyone would crow about. It's
Right.
It's an obligation that is just another requirement for businesses to follow. I mean, like you say, Ida, you're trying to make money, you're trying to make a go at it. And here's the government adding on another regulation. And so it's not popular. And so it kind of makes sense that they're not talking about it. But, our job as as attorneys and educators like you is to keep our audience informed of these new laws and how to handle it.
Yes, for sure, because ignorance can cost.
Right. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. That's been through the court system. The fact that you didn't know the law has never been an excuse.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I am so glad that we are talking about this. So let's talk some more about your asset protection that you offer. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Corporate Direct is a registered agent and business formation service. So, we do the filings with the Secretary of State. We get the paperwork done for you. And if you have any legal questions on top of that, you can schedule a call with either my dad or myself. And we think that this is really important because there are, some other services out there that just get you set up with the Secretary of State. And people say, okay, well, I did this, so am I good to go? And the answer there is no. And the reason being is that we do live in a very litigious society. So business owners do run a high risk of getting sued by someone. And there's this thing called piercing the corporate veil, where if a business gets sued, then that person suing the business can try and pierce the corporate veil to hold the business owner individually liable. And Dad has written a book about this topic. It's called Fail Not Fail. You mentioned it earlier.
Yes.
And Fail Not Fail, it's actually a really good book because veil piercing claims succeed half of the time.
Mm.
So if your business gets sued and they want to pierce the corporate veil, it's a coin flip to determine whether or not you win or lose in that situation, whether or not you're held personally liable. So the best way to prevent that corporate veil from being pierced is by following what we call the corporate formalities. And, veil not fail goes in very much in depth on that topic. But some of the formalities are having a separate bank account, getting the EIN number, which we can do for you, setting up a separate bank account for your business, making sure that you're in good standing with the Secretary of State. There was a lawsuit that I was involved with where somebody had an LLC and we sued the LLC, but it wasn't in good standing with the Secretary of State. And in that situation, it is a green light to go after the individual.
Personally.
Go after them, as an individual. So that's another thing to be aware of. And then also making sure that you have documentation, making sure that you have an operating agreement that governs, how the business is going to operate, what happens if something bad happens, having meeting minutes, annual meetings, keeping minutes of those meetings. And then also just holding yourself out as the manager of your LLC or your corporation, as opposed to in your individual capacity.
So I would add one more corporate formality to that, and that is you've got to file the Corporate Transparency Act filings. You've got to file with FinCEN. That's a corporate formality. If you fail to do that, that's another reason for someone to pierce the corporate veil. You're not following all the rules. So add that to the list.
Yeah, I just hope they don't add nothing else.
Right.
That's crazy. Wow. But that's important though, because a lot of people, they tell you have an entity, set your entity up, but many people do not know the full meaning of what the different entities are and that kind of thing. And having an attorney to, explain that to you in layman terms is real important, because your business that's like the ground bottom of your business and you're building it up. And it's like, if you don't have that foundation intact, you're going to crumble.
Yeah.
Right.
No, and that's a really good analogy that I like to use too, is that getting your LLC properly set up, it is like building a foundation for your house. I mean, you can go to one of the cheaper services and just get it set up with the Secretary of State. But, as an analogy, that's kind of like having a bad foundation. So it's important to take additional steps just to make sure that that foundation is solid and it'll withstand anything bad happening. So, that's what we're here for. We're here to make sure that your foundation is as solid as it can be, because, at this point, it could be when your business gets sued, you're going to want to make sure that you're protected.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And we know we got professional people out there that's what they get up and do. Look for companies to sue. Just like the hackers.
Like hackers, exactly. So I wanted to mention one thing if I could, and that, I've written all these books, and Ted's first book, The 5 Tricks to Teach Your Kids About Money, is available for free. You can download it for free by going to Sunstream, SUNN stream.com/5tricks. Sunstream is a website or a streaming platform that we've started, and one of our focuses is on kids' financial education.
Yes.
Parents are wondering, where can I get my kids educated on money, right? They don't teach it in schools. We need to have our kids be really well educated on money. And so that's one of our focuses at Sunstream. And if you want to get Ted's book for free, it's pretty darn good. So it's at sunstream.com.
Yeah.
All righty. That sounds awesome. I'll make sure I make a big note on this interview about the book, because I think it's important that we teach our children at a young age about money.
Yeah. No, you're definitely right there. And I think an important thing is, how do we do it?
Yes.
what are things that we can do to increase their financial IQ? And
Mhm.
so the 5 tricks, it goes through, 5 quote unquote tricks. And, this isn't like playing a trick on your kids. It's more so like methods that you can use to teach your kids about money, to increase their financial IQ.
In a fun way.
In
So
a fun way,
it's
yeah.
not work. It's
Yeah,
just a fun way to learn.
Yeah, it's not like people are pranking their kids or anything. I mean, that'd be a little bit cruel. So I don't want to, have that out there. But yeah, it's a good book. I mean, obviously I'm going to say that, but it does sort of provide a roadmap for what parents can do for their kids, and it applies to a wide age range too. So if you could go check that out, like Dad said, sunstream.com, sunstream.com/5 tricks. And it's totally free. So if you download it, I'd very much appreciate it. I'm at 200 downloads right now.
Awesome.
He's sold 1 million books. So if you can help close that gap for me, I would really appreciate that.
You got
You
it.
have the edge. It's free.
Yeah.
Yes, you can't lose. It's free. You can only gain. Now, do
Yeah.
you do anything with adults? Because we all know that grown-ups need help with money too.
Yeah.
Well, Ida, we are focusing on professional development as well. We have
Oh,
some
okay.
series up there on the site, and we're going to expand it on professional development. We just launched in December, so we're just getting started. But we've made 3 original movies. We've got original shows. We have a great show called The U.S. Constitution for Kids.
Wow.
And that's another topic they don't teach, Ida, is civics. And so we want to get our kids educated on civics. So Sunstream is offering that type of content as well.
Wow, that sounds awesome because you start with the kids and you have a brighter tomorrow.
I
Yeah.
agree.
It's just the bottom line, and when I look at some of the kids in our society, and then you think about one day they're going to be taking care of you, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
We need all the support we can get in making sure that our kids are ready to take care of us when we can't take care of ourselves. So that's very, very important.
Well, that's been his plan for a while, and I guess it's
Well,
kind of working
he
out.
Good plan.
Yeah. Yep.
Good plan. So again, how do people connect with you?
Well, our main website is corporatedirect.com. And there you can schedule a free 15-minute consult. You can learn about the Corporate Transparency Act. And then the streaming platform, you can learn about it at sunstream.com. And that's where you can get Ted's free book.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Wow, this has been eye-opening. I am so happy that you shed some light on this new corporate law they have out because I was clueless, and I'm sure there was many people out there that was clueless.
Still are.
Yeah, and this conversation definitely made me opened up my eyes to what I need to do in order to, be in compliance, period. Because I don't have no $10,000 to give nobody
Yeah.
for nothing.
Yeah.
Good. Well, let's make sure you're filed.
Absolutely. So thank you guys again, and I am looking forward to more collaborations. And how often do you post on your YouTube channel?
Right now it's once a week. So we
Okay.
have one video every Tuesday, and then we have a short that comes out every Friday.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And the benefit there is that if you want to comment on one of the videos, if you want to suggest a topic, I'm happy to get around to it to post about that.
Oh, okay. Okay. All righty. So thank you. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Ida.
And thank you, audience, for tuning in. And we appreciate you as well.